In this WrestleTalk news, contradictory stories about Sasha Banks and Naomi's walkout from WWE have surfaced, last-minute plans for WWE's tag title unification, Ollie's review of Raw, and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
The saga of Sasha Banks and Naomi walking out from WWE continues, as it's now been a week since the walkout happened, when they walked into John Laurinaitis' office, left their titles on his desk, and left during the show. That's what happened according to WWE's statement anyway, along with Michael Cole saying on air how Banks and Naomi disappointed the WWE universe. While many people have praised Naomi and Banks for standing up to WWE for what they considered poor creative, a sticking point that many have issues with is that they decided to leave during the show, inconveniencing their fellow wrestlers, writers, and producers. Some fans have agreed with the sentiment of walking out, but not the execution, saying that they should have walked out before the show, before WWE had advertised the main event and given them enough time to rewrite. Well, that actually might be exactly what happened. According to one Twitter user who has been in the news cycle before, as they are claiming to be a close friend of Naomi's and are followed by Naomi on Twitter, Banks and Naomi actually left well before the show began, tweeting to say they were gone before the match sheet was printed. That's around 5 PM. If true, this would then mean that WWE knew of their departure several hours before the show went on air, but then promoted the main event six-pack challenge anyway, and could then claim that they walked out during the show. However, in an update from Fightful Select, the opposite was claimed to be true, saying it was reiterated to us by numerous talent and staff that Sasha Banks and Naomi left during WWE Raw at the start of the show. As first reported by Ringside News and then corroborated by Brian Alvarez, WWE are currently not working on any creative plans for Banks and Naomi, and there are zero plans for them to return and zero talk about them in a creative capacity whatsoever. Of course, more and more details keep emerging about this ongoing situation, so stay tuned to WrestleTalk.com for the latest. On last Friday's SmackDown, WWE advertised they were going to unify the tag team titles, which they actually did. Caught me by surprise at the very least. I thought they'd just not follow through like they did at WrestleMania Backlash, but hey, they did it. Only just though, as according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, the decision to actually unify the tag titles was a last-minute decision, while the original plan was always the angle at the end, being the post-match beatdown. This is reportedly in order to set up Riddle and Orton as future challengers for Roman, with the tag titles being used as a proxy in order to get there. Tag titles being used to further singles feud. Where have I heard that before? And who was upset about that again? Meltzer reiterated that this was not some long-term plan and they wouldn't be revisiting it down the line. It was just the angle that was important, with Vince deciding, we've been pushing this so much, we might as well do it. For once, WWE did actually deliver, as advertised, the night's main event. And now, hot tag to Ollie.
Thanks for your support on Patreon, Will. I paid Adam to drink garlic and herb dip on the livestream, Stuart, and have an argy-bargy margy-pargy. You too can get your own shout out by going to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Now it's time for my review of Monday Night Raw in about 5 minutes. Following the Usos beating RK Bro to become the undisputed tag team champions, we got even more brand split LOL as the Street Profits tagged with Riddle to take on the Usos and Sami Zayn to open Monday night. Because 2022 is the one time a year when Raw and SmackDown superstars go head to head in direct competition. Riddle came out all happy and smiling for his entrance despite the aforementioned lost and brutal beatdown of him and his tag partner. You gotta get your spots in, but then became sad when he got the mic. He didn't just get emotional over RK Bro's loss, he got emotional over that potentially being the end of RK Bro forever, and mentioned Randy Orton's back injury from out of nowhere, which is keeping him out of action. Riddle led the crowd in an RK Bro chant for Randy watching at home. He's not watching Riddle, he's stoned playing video games, and then fed that emotion into the ensuing six-man tag, attacking the Usos during their entrance. Riddle and the Street Profits were a fantastic babyface team, with Riddle's hot tag being almost as hot as Randy's. Riddle hit Orton's signature spot, beating Zayn with an RKO as the Usos walked out. It's a deep shame if RK Bro is coming to an end, but there might be an opportunity here to push Riddle as a top singles star. Bobby Lashley cut a stilted promo challenging MVP to a match tonight, where the winner would pick the stipulation for Lashley versus Omos's Hell in a Cell match. That said, this promo got over surprisingly well with the crowd. It's just a shame that crowd was artificial pre-recorded applause. Thank you. Stipulation. Bobby would later lose the match via countout, meaning MVP gets to pick the stipulation, which I'm assuming will be some form of Cedric Alexander getting humiliated. Check your plane for mechanical issues, because WWE is going back to Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel on November 5th. Damian Priest commanded the crowd to all rise, then called them sheeple for following whatever people tell them to do. I don't know what you want from me, Judgment Day. Edge teased a new member, running through the names of Tommaso Ciampa, Corey Graves, Alexa Bliss, Drew McIntyre, or the stars they're currently feuding with, Liv, Finn, or AJ. But not Haaland, because Haaland got fired. Ripley and Priest tagged against the Bull Liv Club next in a fun match, where Morgan showed great babyface fire. Rhea got the win thanks to Edge interference, and the heels continued the beatdown afterwards. Next up came a King's Court segment where Jerry Lawler interviewed Veer Mahan for no apparent reason. Veer is best booked as a silent monster. Lawler has no connection with this storyline, and it wasn't even in Memphis. But goddamn, that jacket looks familiar. Veer didn't really answer any of Jerry's questions, so Lawler started doing lame hairy person jokes. I, as a hairy man, am offended. Veer threatened to beat up Jerry, so the Mysterios made the save. Alexa Bliss took on not just Nikki ASH next, but also the lack of any character direction. Doudrop was in Nikki's corner, coaching her to take things more seriously, which would be a better dynamic if she wasn't called Doudrop, and Bliss won in a few minutes with a Twisted Bliss. This was a total filler segment that didn't progress anything. The only feud it did further, in fact, was Corey Graves versus Sasha Banks and Naomi, when he pointed out that Nikki and Doudrop were supposed to be in last week's six-pack challenge before those Banks and Naomi people let us all down. Oh, I'm so disappointed in you. We got a rerun of the Miz versus Cody Rhodes match next, which Miz built by saying he never trusts anyone with a neck tattoo. To support that, I just want to read this Cody snippet that's resurfaced from a 2007 copy of WWE Magazine. No, there's very little I wouldn't do on a dare, but I think tattoos are overkill. I look at some and I think they're beautiful, but I don't think I could ever get one. Getting a tattoo doesn't make me any tougher. Huh, Cody totally changing his opinion on something. And that's the last time that would ever happen. This match was quite sloppy, so it was a bit of a relief when Seth Rollins scores the DQ. There was then an opportunity to take this feud to another level, when Seth snatched the weight belt Rhodes had gifted to a kid in the front row and then proceeded to whip Cody's back. Seriously, does Cody have some form of kink for this? It was only one whip though, hardly enough to even give Cody a semi. This needed a few more lashes to really build that psychotic heat. Cody returning the belt to the kid at the end though was a great touch. We got an inferior repeat of one of last week's best segments, as Ezekiel got a surprise win on Chad Gable again. Like a true babyface, Ezekiel then sprinted away through the crowd as KO challenged him to a match at Hell in a Cell, and the main event was also a repeat. As for the second week in a row, just this time it was actually the plan, Asuka took on Becky Lynch again, where Becky would be added to the premium live event if she won. At least this made more sense, as Becky complained to Adam Pearce about Asuka using the green mist last week to justify a rematch, infuriatingly meaning Pearce started this episode of Raw without a main event in mind. You are terrible at your job, Adam. The match was the inverse of last week. Really good main action, but with a dud finish. Asuka accidentally kicked Belair in the head, which unconvincingly led to Asuka immediately taking the loss when she rolled in the ring. What did you think of Raw? Let me know in the comments. The RK Bro fallout is intriguing, and the women's triple threat will be fantastic, but Raw is feeling desperately stretched with no world title, no tag team titles, and now not even a Randy Orton, meaning they're just retreading a lot of matches and segments they've already done. This week's Raw is 43%. But as great as Becky Lynch is on screen, she apparently isn't liked backstage. Find out the story now.
Lynch returned to WWE last summer with a new heel turn and has been one of the most consistently brilliant things in WWE since. However, maybe that's just a fan perspective, as according to one former WWE star, she isn't well liked backstage.